So I'm told from here I can do all 7 of my Colpi. Well, the first one is easy, so do a false edge too if it's low. This is now a good attack. People don't expect it. They're kind of cancelling each other out. And if he's aiming to strike at me very slowly, yeah, it's going to be very challenging, very difficult. The next one is thrusting, okay, because we're told 7 Colpi. Colpi meaning blows, and thrusting is a blow. Hi all, Marky and John here from the Exiles. So in this video we're going to look at the 7 actions we can do from Posta di Donna. In the manuscript we're told that we can do all 7 of our Colpi, Colpi meaning blows, so strikes if you like, so 6 cuts and thrusts from Posta di Donna. Okay. Now last year during the first COVID lockdown here in England, I actually did a solo video on this using what is now a famous cardboard tube. Because I didn't have access to swords. So we have done this before, but obviously now I can do it with a partner. So some of these actions are quite easy to predict and they're quite reasonable. Some of them are a little bit more risky with a high return, a high reward, should we say. I'm going to go on this side just to make it a little bit easier. John's going to grab a mask. So while he's putting that on, this is Posta di Donna, okay? And we are feet away, a little bit of, not a lot of weight on the front foot because I'm pretty much going to be going forwards and I need the ability to come off line, so I'm not preloading that foot. I'm looking under my arm, under my elbow, and the weapon is just up high on my shoulder. So from the back, which you will see as well in the manuscript, is like this, okay? So that's the posta. So I'm told from here I can do all 7 of my Colpi. Well, the first one is easy, okay? The first one is just a Fendente, okay? I can keep the feet pretty much in linear and just rotate if I need to, yeah? Or I can, bring a foot offline, nice and easy. Or indeed, I can step, yeah? But the first Fendente, nice and easy. Similarly with the Mazano, okay? Same principle. I can cut out and I can keep the feet just, and just twist them. Or I can do in a crease, or if I have to, I can step multitude of different directions and all the rest of it. So that's also an easy one. The Satani from the right hand side starts to become a little bit more principle driven, I suppose. It's a little bit more situational. I can use it as an opening strike, true edge, but it's a bit risky. I can also do a false edge too if it's low, but it takes quite a long time. If I'm doing false edge, that's a long time to be at risk, okay? But if he's in posta longa, properly extended posta longa, now it starts to become a little bit more of an option because I can come under at the arms, especially with a false edge, yeah, at the hands. It's a little bit more risky, but I believe you, Mr. Fiore, it's kind of there. Where it comes into its own though is a defensive action, okay? So I'm here, okay? If John is on his left shoulder, okay, and he comes off to, I can use a false edge as a beat. I can come out with a false edge for a cover. So there's a number of things down there that sort of start to make sense. Where it starts getting a bit more interesting is the strikes from the other side. So we'll swap sides for this. Just so you can see, I'm going to have my back to you, but it just makes it easy for you to see. So the first one we'll talk about is the Fendente from the left, okay? This is now a good attack. People don't expect it. It's quite legitimate, and if you don't find anything on the end of it, you're in a pretty familiar position to do something from it, okay? Because my left foot is forward. So once I extend, I'm back out into normal fighting positioning, fighting stance, fighting distance, okay? It's a good offensive action. If John is in a low posta, okay, on his left, it's quite an easy one to do, to just get him to move. He can attack me, he can do things. If I've got gloves on, I don't care. But, it's a good opening attack to get people moving, that's for sure. If you're a bit more aggressive with it, you would hope that they would defend themselves and give you an opening. So come down low again, John. Yeah, you'd hope that you'd get something happening from there. Obviously, you're taking into account what you're both wearing and so on and so forth. The next one, the Mazano from the left, okay, again, is more of a situational thing, okay? It's kind of on as an opening attack, although I'm breaking one of my golden rules and I have to have my hands crossed, okay? There's no practical way really of getting that out false edge, as you can see. Very clunky, very messy. It is an okay-ish opening attack. especially if the person's in a sort of frontale type position, but you've got to be very cognizant of the fact that they've got the shorter line to hit the target. So I'm putting myself at a little bit of risk, okay? If he's there, he's got a much shorter line to hit the target, okay? So again, where it starts to come into its own is a defensive action. So if John cuts at me, defensive action. I've used that Mazano to just gently displace his weapon to gain a centre line to thrust down. And the same is true with the Satani from the left as well, okay? It's kind of an okay-ish opening action, especially if you're coming off like this, but crossing my hands again, yeah, I can put it into Fenestra maybe, but it's a bit clunky, you know, it's a bit challenging. I guess if you're, again, in a high posture, John, you know, it kind of does perhaps have a place, maybe at the arms, maybe it'll force an action, but it's a little bit risky. That being said, again, defensively, it does have a very narrow situational application, okay? Same principle, so I can use it as a cover. It's not the kind of cover you want to do against anything that isn't a very steep Fendente, okay? If his Fendente is very shallow or starts to come very shallow, we can kind of cancel each other out. So if we do this really slowly, yeah, look, we're kind of cancelling each other out. And if he's aiming to strike at me very slowly, yeah, it's going to be very challenging, very difficult, okay? So it has a time and a place, that action, okay? Now obviously I can't dictate that he's going to do a very steep Fendente type action, so it's a little bit of risk and reward, okay? All of those from the left I was doing with the rotation of the weapon very close to my body. You can be a bit more flicky with the point, okay, which starts to then open up different things. So for example, if I just whip this out, if John cuts at me and I just whip this out, just a bit more tip speed, a little bit less rotation of the body, again, it starts to have a little bit more application, but there's nothing solid about that. So those are in summary, those are the 6 cuts, if you like. The next one is thrusting, okay, because we hold 7 Colpi. Colpi meaning blows and thrusting is a blow. So from here, okay, there's a couple of different ways to do this. There's a slow way, but it's clean, and there's a clunky way, but it's fast. Okay, so the fast way is just to bring the point out and just stick it straight forward. Okay, now you've got to be very careful about when and how you apply this. If he's up on the right shoulder with that all twisted, with all that power, there's probably no way I'm going to do this. I'm not going to thrust like this. I'm going to be dead. Okay, so in that instance, what I would do is I'd bring it over my head and I'd stick it out. Okay, now it's slower, okay, but it's more reliable. I'm over and I'm thrusting, okay, and I can also just straighten my arms too. So I can come over my head and straighten up my arms, okay. This is really good if the person is quite far away. It's not without risks, okay, because you're coming a long way and it's very easy to predict. You might get the upper hand when you start to move your arms. The opponent might be thinking, what's going on, but as soon as the point's on and you start moving forward, it's pretty obvious that it's going to be a thrust. So you have to be very clever with that. So over the head and thrust, I have to pretty much rely on the fact that it's going to be covered, okay, which is fine too. So we've got those 2 ways there, okay. We've got just off the back, leaning forward, okay, at distance it might get a reaction. If John comes forward a bit and he's in coda longer, because he's got a mask on, I'll give this a go, there's a chance that I can just get him off position. Thrusting at the face, I've got him to move. He's covered the weapon there, but he could have also just cut at me, so bit risky. The other way, as I say, a bit more solid, especially if I straighten out, knowing it's going to be covered. But in any case, a quick whistle stop, if you like, of those 7 actions from Posta di Donna, which we're told about doing in the manuscript. So I hope that was useful. Thanks to John, and until the next one.